got a new camera. Step one. This one I actually used because I'm shooting another show that's also going to be on my YouTube channel. And I had to dive underwater with it. This is the new GoPro 10. Shoots 4K, does 240 frames slow motion. It's pretty great, and costs less than most phones do. And you can also, if you shoot in 2K, you can bump up on the sensor, so it's not this sort of like super wide angle look that you see all the time. And you can make it a little more sort of 50 millimeter looking, or traditionally cinematic. I guess this is a good time to bring up like what it is we're using to make this stuff. I'm a VFX person by day, and I do matte painting and concept art and storyboarding and stuff like that. And Gareth obviously works in traditional media as well as digital media. For this, we're going almost entirely digital because the files can be easily made into animatable files. So Gareth takes his paintings, sends them to me as what do you call it? Adobe, Photoshop, Illustrator. Sends them to me as Illustrator files, and I break them down into what are the best and most convenient layers for animation through Photoshop. And we bring that into After Effects and animate them in After Effects. There's a lot of different layers that are being used. There's color layers that go underneath the ink layers. There's a textural layer of wash that Gareth painted on actual paper, scanned, that we use to sort of texture the animations themselves. But all this is done in the Adobe suite that you can get for about $50 a month, which can be a little steep for some people. There are lots of different alternatives, though, and some good ones that are free for Photoshop, and there's also decent free editing software and animation software. So like you don't have to use any of this stuff. Like this stuff it's a little fancier, but it's not that much fancier. But anyway, so I'm shooting this other show, which is called The Big Glitch, and that I'm shooting on my Sony A7 III, which is a slightly older mirrorless camera, and that was about $1,500, $1,600. You can, like as Steven Soderbergh does, like you can completely shoot as decent footage as that on your phone these days, even if it's not that great a phone. Like you still get like pretty decent video. And so I don't want any of this process to seem like it's like completely out of bounds. And like it's not, it costs money, but it should never cost a prohibitive amount of money, because like the big change in filmmaking in the 1960s, when like American cinema in the 1960s and 70s especially went through this massive creative boom. We talked about it last installment, and it's because things became really inexpensive, and everyday folks could be incredibly creative. And Francis Ford Coppola at that time said, like this is, the dream come true, because now like any little kid can just go and shoot a movie and suddenly the whole world's going to be artists. And so like critics of that have said, well, where are all the great artists that he predicted? And I'm like, well, they're here. It's just that when you have a lot of like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people making stuff, because it's so easy and comparatively free to make it, like you end up with just lots of stuff, like it's the same percentage of stuff that's going to be incredible. And it makes it a little bit harder to find the incredible stuff, because, in the media landscape today, like there's 1,000 times more stuff than was available even in Coppola's time. But the fact that there is so much stuff should say that like that it is within the realm of affordability, even if your budget is like, for an entire feature film is like $500. It's, I believe, still completely doable we are obviously in a much more privileged position. We've been working in visual effects for a long time. We have a lot of connections that we can pull on, like just everything. Like we can go on and on about this, but there's lots of stuff that we can draw from that I understand that, every day folks don't have access to. But this is part of what I'm personally trying to overcome is that I didn't make movies for a long time because of these, I don't want to say excuses, sort of excuses, but stories I told myself about why it's so hard. And, it's just like, like it's so hard to get in, it's so hard to get in, and it is. I've been trying to pitch shows for 15 years, and there's no sales. Like I had a good short film that did a fair amount of business and got a lot of meetings, and I went around and around with it, and it just didn't take off. And this is most people's tale in Hollywood. Most writers, most filmmakers, they come here, and they go to meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. Even if they can get to the point of having meetings, they go to meeting after meeting, and you can waste years doing this stuff. Joe Kosinski called this the water bottle tour, and I was on the water bottle tour for a long time, and I'm still happy to do it, and still happy to go and talk to people and try and pitch ideas and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, it is once you start agreeing to their story that they are the executives who give you the permission to go and make the thing, then some part of yourself is always waiting for that permission. And I wasted an enormous amount of time thinking like that. And part of it is the story of Hollywood, and part of it is the story of expense and how how difficult it is to make a movie and all this kind of stuff. And it's not like these things aren't true, but if you think about it too much, it increases the chances of it becoming true. And the best way to overcome it is to just say, today I'm going to try and figure it out. And I may not figure it out today, but I'm going to try to figure it out today. Instead of thinking, oh, I can't do it and this is terrible, try and step back and say, like, well, I can do it this much today. And if you can pull that off, then you can get someplace, because that stuff adds up. Let's see. Other than that, like most of this week was devoted for myself to shooting the first episode of my other show, and I'm cutting it together right now. It's looking pretty fantastic. But as that will wind down in the next week, you're going to see more actual Wisteria material, and we're going to be building up to our own shoot. So my question right now, the first thing I have to start to get under control is I've never really done voice acting casting. So we're looking for ideas and information about that, but it's half animated and half live action, Roger Rabbit style. And if people have folks that they would like to recommend, we are totally open to that. And I'm going to try to get that done in the next week or 2 weeks, and set up to shoot within 2 or 3 weeks after that. So we'll check in and let you know how that setup is coming. Please ask us questions below in the comments, and like us, subscribe to this channel, and tell people about us on Facebook as we continue to go and make stuff. Also, like, I'm not the only one who's making videos here, so like Gareth and Wes will be throwing stuff up as well. Look for those and ask them stuff directly. And we'll see you next week.